Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner Studio, and with me today is Lauren Kopishke. Tell me one more time how to say it.
Kopishke.
Kopishke. Well, we'll get it.
Yep.
You'll be here long enough. We'll figure it out. Lauren is the I want to call her the planner, but give me your correct title.
Yep. So it is the Director of Planning and Zoning.
Yeah, that's a mouthful
title.
Because I tell you what, that's a really important job in our town, and we're glad you're here.
Thank you.
And we've had many dealings with county zoning and planning over the years, so we know what you're doing. But what we're going to talk today about is the rewrite of the comprehensive plan.
Yep.
I did that 20 years ago and worked on that when
Okay.
I was on the planning commission and et cetera, et cetera. But it's an interesting thing. Over the years, we have these events where people get together and the town really does want their input.
Right.
So let's tell us what's planned, when it is, and what you're expecting from all of us. And
Okay. So we are having a kickoff event, and that will be November 23rd at the Pavilion from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Right.
And then from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m.
So we have two opportunities.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And staff will be there, and so will our consultant, and that's Summit Engineering.
Right.
So the two people on our team there, Ann Darby and Michael Stapor, they will be coming, and we will have printouts of this public input survey, and we will also be giving business cards. And on the front of the card, we'll have the actual website where people can log in to fill out the survey.
Mm-hmm.
And on the back will be a QR code that they can scan from their phone if they choose to.
Right. So this comprehensive plan, kind of tell everyone what basically it is.
Okay. Essentially, the comprehensive plan is the guiding document for the community. So for us, it's what does Front Royal want to be in 30 years? How do the people of this town envision this place being down the road?
Right.
So we take where we're at now, we study it, and then we start to, through these public input surveys, we start to get input from the community and start to craft a vision. So in 30 years, Front Royal will be a, safe community, a community that protects historic architecture, or, a community that provides for a variety of housing types.
We want some more roads.
Yes. So under state code, anything that says shall is a requirement.
Right.
And anything that may be included.
Sure.
Well, transportation shall be included.
Right.
Along with provisions for broadband internet access and a variety of housing types.
Right.
So those are the main pieces of the comp plan. Everything else is optional for the
Sure.
jurisdictions.
Sure.
What I think is going to be the important piece of this is going to be the future land use map that we have, because along with the comprehensive plan rewrite, we're also doing a rewrite of the subdivision ordinance and zoning ordinance.
Right. Well, let me just throw the monkey wrench into the thing here. So now we've had these events throughout the year. We've had our envisioning events, and
Right.
the community's going to say, well, we did that and we didn't see anything happen.
Right.
So what do you say to that?
Well, Summit actually participated in some of those envisioning events, which I actually just found out a couple of days ago that was the case.
Right.
And with those, we're very fortunate to have a planning commission here that is very involved, and they're very knowledgeable. And what they did was actually take those envisioning events, and they wrote portions of the comp plan. The problem is that it was never forwarded to council and never approved. So we have drafts, and we are trying to take what they did and incorporate that, 5 years later.
Sure. So we're halfway in it.
Yes, we're actually halfway.
And they do
into
this
it.
every 10 years, don't they?
Well, so technically you're supposed to do it every 5 years.
Oh, okay.
Our last approved comprehensive plan was in 1998.
Right.
But fortunately, the council that we have has, set the money aside and allowed us to hire Summit. And I didn't know what to expect going into this, but I can honestly say I've been really happy with Summit, and working with them so far has been a great experience.
Right. So when I was on the planning commission years ago, we this comprehensive plan is kind of like a blueprint or a guideline. So whenever we are looking at things in today's
Right.
realm, we look at it and say, how's that going to be affected by what's our overall plan, and does it fit in? Is that
And how do we
good?
get there? So, when we have say we've annexed land into the town, in the last 20 years.
Right.
And as of right now, it's undeveloped. We have a vision for what that needs to be, and that vision comes from the people of this town. Now, when somebody comes in for a rezoning and say they want to put, some type of industrial warehouse in a spot that the future land use map and the comprehensive plan calls out as,
Houses.
low density residential.
Exactly,
So, estate homes, a single family home on 5 to 10 acres. Well, that comprehensive plan and that future land use map gives us a way to say, well, this idea or this application does not meet the future, proposal that we have in front of us, the comp plan.
Right.
And it gives us a ground, just guidance on making these decisions.
Because a lot of times, that on the initial view of it looks like, well, that sounds pretty good until we look at the other part and says, well, we have a road coming through here and we got this
Right.
coming through there and a school going over here.
Right.
And all of a sudden, oh, I didn't realize all that.
And that's why development really needs to be thought out. We need to have good processes. People need to know what to expect, so we need consistency. Because we need to sit here and think, okay, well, it's not just we're putting in 1,000 homes. Well, what's that going to do to the roads? What's that going to do to the schools? There's so many different pieces to think about.
Right. And those things don't happen overnight.
Right.
Okay.
And another thing is, too, when people say, well, I want this particular, chicken restaurant that shall not be named to come into town, right?
Right.
And it's, why can't you get them here?
Right.
Well, I don't court single businesses as planning
Sure.
director. We create the zoning ordinance and the land use map, and that says, okay, commercial is permitted here by right. So that just tells them where they can go. It doesn't mean that I can bring certain businesses
Exactly.
here.
That's the Economic Development Authority.
Yes.
We're going to blame them for this kind of thing, for not allowing that chicken restaurant that we won't name.
We won't call it out.
Well, but the other side of that, let's just talk about that for a minute. And I tell people, where are those customers going to come from? They're going to come from other local businesses and steal them and go over there.
Right, and that's...
And each business of these, especially franchises, they look at the whole community as a whole.
Yes.
How many people are there? What's the demographics? What's the job? Where are the businesses? And does it fit their business model?
Right.
We
So-
might love them,
Right.
but,
But when I get calls into the office of, why are there certain businesses on the entrance corridor that have very bright lights? How could you allow that? Well, it's
Well-
by right retail. And,
well, I remember those
there's a
things.
market. If there wasn't a market for it, it wouldn't be here. It wouldn't be successful. So I tell people,
Well, we got, we have that, and we do have an overlay district for our entrance
Right.
corridors. And I look at it and I say, well, we need, one more vape shop on the entrance corridor and we need another bank. And, so we have
Well,
businesses
so-
that,
here's the other thing. The solution to that is we slap a requirement that anything in the entrance corridor is by special use permit. That will give planning commission and town council a little bit more
guidance.
control and regulation over it.
right.
But that's a double-edged sword. Do we want more government regulation?
Right.
And it's a balancing act.
right. And a lot of those things, they don't stay there forever. Now, a lot of things
Right.
do, and that's the problem we have.
Seems to be the undesirable thing.
Well,
Stay
I
there
recall,
forever.
now I may be wrong, so I want to make a statement, and I use it a lot, so I probably
Right.
somehow my brain has picked this up. But one of the things I looked at was the 1957 comprehensive plan. I think that year sticks
I
in my-
saw a copy of that. It's
and
in our office.
Did you look at it? Now, I recall one of those comprehensive plans that the cover had a drawing of downtown Front Royal.
Yes.
There wasn't a single old building on it.
No, it was
all
more
like-
modern looking.
All very
Yeah.
modern looking. It was Jetson all over the
Yes,
thing.
that's what I was just thinking in my head. Jetsons.
So those people had a vision of the town
Yep.
in 1957-ish,
Right.
and now we look at it in 2021. What happened? See, those are the kind of things that, we have a plan, but, we have all
And I
this.
was honestly amazed that we had a comprehensive plan back in 1957
Yeah.
because I don't think the state came in and required them
We had
until the
visionaries
70s.
in this town in
Yes.
1957. What happened to them? But things change, the population changes, people's wants and needs change.
Absolutely.
We want to do that. Like we talk about, you can't bring in a particular business, but you can, they'll say you can't make a horse drink, but you put salt in its oats. And that's what
Yes.
zoning does. Puts a little salt in the oats there. So we're going to put our new grocery store, we got to find a place for it. Okay,
Right.
and there's where it can go.
And these are all things that economic development and planning, we work in lockstep together. We're separate, but we have to be on the same page.
Well, there's been a lot of changes in the town staff and vision, and I think, and you mentioned the future, and this is where, I try to explain to people wanting to run for council, stay out of the weeds. We have a town manager form of government,
Yes, we do.
You're to give direction and think about the future.
Yep.
Not worrying about something that happened yesterday.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but that's easy stuff, and we do that in business, and you do it in your office, my office. The urgent gets in the way of the important. Yes. And so that's something that we all need to struggle with.
That's been one of the goals since I started. I'll be honest. I'm so happy I took this job, but it's fire drills. Yeah. And so that's what we're working on.
It takes a while to get to that vision part.
Because I have this idea in my head. We're going to come in and we're going to be super efficient and we're going to get all the permits done. I'm going to have time to do planning.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah. No, it doesn't happen. And you're right. But that's the part, that's why it always gets kicked down the road and things don't happen because not enough, I don't know, time or
it's a time thing. And I've never been in a job where the days just flew by, but I will literally look down at my clock and be like, oh my gosh, it's 1 o'clock. Yeah. Where did my day go?
Yeah. Wonder why I'm hungry.
Yeah, exactly. That's a lot of, why am I hungry? But I've actually, we had a staff member leave, but I've been able to replace him. And so I had somebody new start this week. I've got another position posted. So I'm hoping to get them in before January.
I see your ad on the Royal Examiner.
Yes, so
plug.
Yep, please apply. But right now, what I've got the new people working on is going to be a development guide that I'd like to put out. At least get a draft in January, and that will just be basically a booklet for the development community of what the steps are from raw land to ribbon cutting, of what they need to do and process-wise how to do it and what our expectations as staff are. I don't want developers coming in and giving me napkin drawings or incomplete applications because
hold on, a lot of things on napkins.
Well, the thing is I can't do much with it.
That's true. You have no vision. What's the matter?
And so I think a big part of this is creating checklists and just flowcharts, but just doing it in a way that's easy so that they know what to expect
no
each
matter
time.
Who looks at it at any stage of it.
Yes.
We're all talking the same language.
Yes, and that's the big thing we've been focusing on.
Well, I tell people the difference between, they say, well, why does Winchester have this and we don't? And the number one reason is zoning.
Yes.
And zoning is what makes your community what it is. And we're about 50 years behind Winchester in zoning.
But we also, as a community, need to decide how pro-growth do we want to be. Because right now we have a pretty growth-restrictive zoning ordinance. And as we go through this rewrite, that's why all this public input and public outreach is so important, because we need to know which direction to take it. Do we want to open it up, make development, be a little more pro-development, or do we want to continue down the path we're doing of more of a slow growth model?
And part of that is water, our utilities.
What can our infrastructure support?
And what can our workforce support?
And what can the schools support? And the schools aren't in the town's purview, so that's all that whole county and school or town working together.
Well, and you just can't live off real estate taxes.
Right.
You have to have industry and businesses, and it's a double-edged sword.
But then where does that go?
That's right. Planning. That's why we have people like you. Well, it's an interesting thing to do, and truthfully, your input is valued.
Necessary.
It may not see the immediate result of it, but all the little things come up that people say, oh, I want a skating ring and I want a Christmas tree downtown. All these things goes in a list. How many people want that? And, I never thought of that.
I have a running list of, things like different types of studies and plans that, working in other larger jurisdictions, I never thought twice about that we wouldn't have it or that we wouldn't have an updated version of it. And here it's like, oh, we haven't had a floodplain study done since 1986.
And thank
goodness that's when I was born, So,
wow. Okay, I remember 1986.
But so, things like that, we're working on moving forward, and we are working on getting new studies done. And so, the town manager's been a big part of that. Council's been a big part of that. And we're just, trying to, in 10 to 15 years, this place is going to be up to date. And
There you go.
Fantastic.
And hopefully you're still here.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned these things, and I think you'll hear a lot of this sentiment as you progress in your job, and that is the town and the county are just not business friendly.
Right.
And now on the opposite, the town and the county say, we're very business friendly. I've talked to councilmen and supervisors. Oh no, we're really, I said, but how about this? Oh really, that happened? Normally the people in charge don't use the services that they regulate.
Right. Well, so when I hear business friendly, I sit there and I think about the fact that other jurisdictions I've worked in that are more towards the Northern Virginia end, you're looking at 6 to 9 months
Sure.
for a site plan to go through. Whereas here, staff is, turning things
pretty
around in a 2-week time period
Right.
for zoning permits, where, like 30 to 60 days for a site plan. That's great. That is,
Yeah.
to me, that is business friendly.
Right. Well, here's what I mean by it. To me, as a customer of your services, would be I bring you something, instead of the first word out of most people's mouth when you take it to a certain administration office in town, which we won't name, is, oh, you can't do that.
Right.
My avenue would be, I don't know, let me take a look at it. Let's see what we can get done, or see what we need to change to make sure that you can get this done.
Right.
More of the helper stage instead of the denier stage. Because,
Right.
there's always going to be some reason you can't do something. But as you probably know, you've been in government long enough, if you can't do it over here, there's probably something over here that says you can do. Or maybe, have you thought about changing that? Or have you
Right.
thought about raising the foot up, your floor up 1 foot so that floodway doesn't come
Well, so
into-
that's,
That's part of the helper stage. That's
Right.
being business friendly to me.
yes. Yeah.
Not everything doesn't have to be a no.
Right. And I have heard that quite a bit, that
So we're giving her warning. We don't want to hear no's out of her.
don't say no, but I still have to follow the code.
That's right. That's right. Oh, and that's the thing. And if you
But
don't
that's
like,
why the code needs to be better.
that's right. And we need to be looking at it all the time and seeing what's changed.
Oh, I have a running list going, because the problem I've had, and we've had this on some recent applications, is that when the subdivision ordinance has certain requirements, but they contradict with the zoning ordinance. As zoning administrator, I then have to make a decision. Well, which one do I hold? Typically, what you do is you hold to the stricter standard.
Right.
But it's really at my discretion. So
Well, it's like parking has always been an issue.
that's where one of the
And again,
contradictions are.
when Mayor T-Walt was there, and of course he was the planning, when we came to town, he was the public works director, the zoning administrator, and
Wow.
and one other one. And he only had a part-time secretary.
Oh my
and they
goodness.
issued 300 permits. So
Oh my
anyway, I'm just telling you, it can be done. So anyway, he looks at it, I said, well, we can't make more parking. It is what it is.
Right.
You live down on downtown,
Ridge, yep.
and you ain't going to get any more parking.
No. All my neighbors park in the street.
That's exactly right.
I have a driveway and
So-
I still have a car on the street.
That's right. So I'm just saying, so those are things that we need to look at and say, okay, well, maybe some of these parking restrictions that got put in during some of your previous predecessors.
Are they still appropriate?
Yeah, just because they come from Fairfax, they do it, and that's the one you're going to get. People say that, well, they do that down in the city, but we don't do that out here. So,
Yep.
but we don't want to be Fairfax, but we don't want to be West Virginia either.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which has no zoning. So we want to be
have
somewhere.
experienced
You
that.
understand what I'm coming from?
Absolutely.
So we just want to be some flexibility and like at least listen to my concerns and help me get as close as I can
so
to what I
this
want.
survey, what was it? Monday, I believe. We launched the citizen input website.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a button people can click on the town's webpage, the
Right.
homepage.
Right.
Then there's also a link to it on the planning page. And I believe we posted it on Facebook and even like What's Up Front Royal.
Sure.
And in there, on the third page of the survey, are the, what do you want to see less of in Front Royal? What do you want to see more of? What's important for development? Those are just open-ended. You
Sure.
can type.
Right.
And that's what I need people to do, is put their opinions and their thoughts in those sections of the survey. For me, that's the most important part, because what's going to happen is the software systems that Summit has, they're going to scan for key phrases, and as those phrases are repeated, it's going to move to the top of the list. So it's kind of weighted.
Sure.
And that's kind of going to draft the direction we take the comp plan and the zoning ordinance.
Yeah, that's what you want. That's good. Well, I seen one of your posts, and of course I'm thinking, oh, we're going to finally rewrite the comprehensive plan. So I called up Mr. Hicks. I said,
Okay.
have Lauren come in and see me today. And
Yeah.
he said, I'm going to send her right over. So because the event is the 23rd. Again, tell us the times.
So it is 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And we will have free cookies from
I was going
the
to say,
bakery.
Stephen always has the cookies.
Yes, so we've got the free cookies and coffee.
There you go.
And we will have water there also.
Okay. Yeah, Stephen always, every time I go to his events, he always has cookies.
Well,
So,
I like that bakery that's down by
It is
town
nice,
hall.
isn't it great?
I walk down there and I get fresh bread. And,
oh, it's great, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
They do a great job.
I like being able to walk to different places.
And that's something else that's
downtown
going to go in the comprehensive plan, the walkability of our
Yes.
town and the community.
Yep.
And you're seeing that a lot. And I hear that mentioned a lot, walkability. So,
Absolutely. I mean, part of why I chose to live where I did was because it's close to my children's school. And, it was just
walk to
close
work.
to downtown. And at the time I didn't work there. But now I'm
Sure.
like, I have walked to work twice now. And I'm like, oh,
well, I always
This
tell
is pretty
people,
good.
live close to work and commute everywhere else.
Yep.
But we do the opposite.
I will tell you, the last couple of jobs I had a 2-hour commute, and then I got it down to an hour and 15 minutes, and I thought that was great. And I got it down to 45 minutes the next job.
Now you got it down to
But
4
this one
minutes.
now, I can literally walk to work, and it's been great.
It is great. I mean, I can get to the office in 2 minutes if I hit
Yep.
the green light.
Well, I
so-
loved it. I loved it last summer. I know it wasn't popular, but closing down the main street, I loved walking with my kids down there on Friday nights,
Right.
and they could let them ride their bikes, that type of
Sure,
thing. And,
sure.
I mean, if you lived right there, it was fantastic.
Right. So we won't
Yeah.
talk about the 60 apartments coming on Main Street. That's another topic for another day.
That has not been submitted officially. I don't know.
But
We'll talk about that
We'll
later.
talk about that later. We won't want to put you on we want to talk about the comprehensive
You don't want to
plan
get me in
rewrite.
trouble.
No, and I know that because Stephen will look at this and he'll say, why did you talk about that? Why did you
Yeah.
talk about that? So anyway, we're going to see you at the event on the 23rd at 11 to 1
Yep.
or again at 5
And
to
then
7.
5 to 7.
Please, if you have any input at all of what you want to see our town be better, more of, less of, this is the opportunity to do this. So every 5 years we do it. We're going to be doing
We're
it
going
every
to be
5
doing
years.
it every 5 years.
And they do pay attention to it. I know when I was on the planning commission, we really followed
Right.
the comprehensive plan. Now the council sometimes overrode it and did what they want to do, but the planning commission that's their rule book. That's what they look at.
Yep.
And it's important.
And so last night we had the public hearing for the CIP,
Mm-hmm.
and the CIP is supposed to follow the comprehensive plan. And once we
Tell
get
us
this
what a CIP is before people say, what is that?
the capital improvement plan.
There you go, okay.
So this is the list of projects. These are our dream projects.
Sure.
Extending Main Street or West Main Street
Right.
to Kendrick.
I've been talking about that for 30 years.
Sidewalks,
Yep.
an east-west connector.
Oh, yeah.
These types of things. These are your pie in the sky.
They have been on that pie in the sky list for 30 years or more.
Yep. But-
Interchange out on 606.
which is not going to happen anytime soon.
No, but if you don't talk about it, it's never going to happen.
Exactly.
I tell them the mind of man, if he conceives it and believes
Right.
it, he can achieve it. And it just might take a long time,
$200,000 or $200 million. Yes.
but we'll get
But-
it. We'll
yep,
get it when the
but
time
that-
comes.
But the CIP and the comp plan, all of these documents play together. So, as we do get new development, if it's in the CIP, we can ask for those proffers.
Sure.
And the developers, can say, okay, well, if you let me do X, Y, and Z, well, I'll contribute so
Exactly.
much to this project on your CIP and help
Sure.
kind of bring things into fruition.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how we get to that future land use map.
We call that greasing the wheel there.
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
Yep.
Again, Lauren, thanks so much
Yep.
for coming
Thank
in.
you.
I do want to highlight this comprehensive plan rewrite again on the 23rd at the pavilion
Yep.
at the gazebo area from 11 to 1, 5 to 7, and free cookies. So it'll be
Yep.
great.
And then at that event, we will be providing the public with the public like input session dates.
Okay.
So there will be more information
And
coming.
we'll put the link below the video here and to the story where people
Okay.
can go to that website and check it all out.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds
Good
good.
enough.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.